I'm sitting in the living room, nursing a glass of bourbon and trying to ignore the knot in my stomach. Emily is upstairs getting ready for her girls' night out. She's been looking forward to it all week, but I can't shake the feeling that something's wrong. Lately, things have felt off between us, like there's this invisible wall growing taller every day, and I can't seem to break through it. I love Emily, always have. We've been married for 10 years and we've built a good life together. But lately, she's been different, more distant. She used to talk to me about everything, but now it feels like I'm the last person she wants to confide in. She's been dressing differently too. Tighter clothes, higher heels. I've tried not to overthink it, but I can't help wondering who she's trying to impress. She comes down the stairs and my breath catches. She looks stunning, wearing a little black dress that clings to her in all the right places. Her hair is down, the way I like it, but her eyes are cold, distant. "Are you sure you have to go tonight?" I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. I can't help it. The words slip out before I can stop them. She turns to me, her expression hardening. "Don't start this again, okay? It's just a girls' night." I know, I say quickly, but the unease in my gut is gnawing at me. I just, I don't know, Em. Something doesn't feel right. She lets out an exasperated sigh and grabs her purse. "You're being paranoid. We've talked about this." "I'm not trying to control you," I protest, but it feels like I'm losing ground. I just, I worry, that's all." "Well, don't," she snaps. Her tone is sharp, cutting. "You're not my owner, okay? I can do whatever I want." The words hit me like a slap. I know she didn't mean it like that, but it still stings. Before I can say anything, she's out the door, leaving me standing there, feeling like a fool. I try to focus on the TV, but the empty house feels suffocating. I pour myself another drink, but it does nothing to dull the unease twisting inside me. I know I'm being irrational, but I can't shake the feeling that something is going to happen tonight. Something that's going to change everything. The hours drag on, and the house feels too quiet, too empty without her. I pick up my phone, half tempted to call her, but I stop myself. I don't want to seem like the paranoid husband, checking up on his wife. But as the night wears on, my mind starts racing with dark possibilities. Where is she? What is she doing? And why do I have this sinking feeling in my gut that when she comes home, everything will be different? I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but I can feel it in my bones. My life is about to change and not for the better. The next morning, I wake up with a headache, a dull, throbbing pain that seems to echo the tension of the night before. The bed feels cold, and I instinctively reach out for Emily, but she's not there. I sit up, rubbing my eyes, and that's when I see it. A condom, slick and used, clutched in her hand. My heart stops. I blink, hoping it's some sick hallucination, but it's real. The bile rises in my throat as I stare at it, disbelief freezing me in place. What the hell? My mind spins and I look around, desperate for some explanation. That's when I notice the note on the bedside table, the one I must have overlooked in my half-asleep state. I grab it, my hands shaking as I unfold the paper. The words are scrawled in her handwriting, or at least they look like it. "Honey, you forgot to return this to your lover. Look what will happen next." My breath catches in my throat, turning to ice. I can feel my pulse hammering in my ears as I struggle to process what I'm seeing. My first instinct is to wake her up, to demand answers, but I can't move. I'm paralyzed by the sheer horror of it. I keep staring at the note, my mind racing through 1,000 different possibilities. Is this some kind of sick joke? Did she do this? Did I? Finally, I shake her awake, rougher than I intended. "Emily," I say, my voice sharp, barely controlled. "Emily, wake up! What the hell is this?" She groans, her eyes fluttering open, confusion clouding her face as she looks at me. Then she sees the condom in her hand, and her eyes widen in shock. "What? What is that?" she stammers, yanking her hand away as if it burned her. "What are you talking about?" "You tell me," I snap, thrusting the note at her. "What is this, Emily? What the fuck is going on?" She grabs the note, her face paling as she reads it. "I don't know," she whispers, her voice trembling. "I don't know what this is. I swear to God, I have no idea." "Bullshit," I say, my anger boiling over. Don't lie to me, Emily. Just tell me the truth. Who the hell have you been with? She looks at me, her eyes wide with something that looks like genuine fear. But I can't trust it. Not now. I haven't been with anyone, she cries, tears springing to her eyes. You have to believe me. I don't know where this came from. I don't know who would do this. Who would do this? I echo, my voice dripping with disbelief. Who else could have done this, Emily? I wasn't the one out last night. You were. Her tears start to fall, but they only make me angrier. I feel like I'm losing control, like the ground beneath me is crumbling away. How can you lie to me like this? I shout, getting out of bed and pacing the room. After everything we've been through, how can you stand there and lie to my face? I'm not lying, she sobs, clutching the sheets around her as if they can protect her from my rage. I swear, I don't know what this is. I would never what? I cut her off, my voice raw. Never cheat? Never betray me? Because it sure as hell looks like you have. Or maybe this is all some big misunderstanding, huh? Maybe you just found that thing in your hand this morning and thought nothing of it? She's crying harder now, but I can't let myself feel sympathy. Not yet. I need the truth. I need to know what's happening to my life, why everything is suddenly spiraling out of control. But she just keeps shaking her head, over and over, like a broken record. I don't know, I don't know, she keeps saying, her voice hoarse from crying. Please, you have to believe me. I don't know how this happened. I feel like I'm on the verge of losing it. My thoughts are a chaotic mess of anger, hurt, and confusion. I want to believe her, but how can I? The evidence is right there in front of me, and no matter how much she cries, it doesn't change the fact that there's a used condom in our bed and a note that suggests she's been unfaithful. I can't stay here. I can't be in this room with her right now. I need to clear my head, to think straight. I'm going out, I say abruptly, grabbing my phone and wallet from the nightstand. What? Where are you going? She asks, her voice laced with panic. Out, I repeat, my tone leaving no room for argument. I need to think. I don't wait for her to respond. I just leave, slamming the door behind me. I head to the garage, my mind racing as I get in the car and drive. I don't know where I'm going. I just need to get away. I need space, distance, something to help me make sense of this nightmare. As I drive, I replay the events of the past few weeks in my head, searching for clues, signs, anything that might explain what's happening. Emily's been distant, sure, but could she really be cheating on me? The thought of her with someone else makes me sick, but what else am I supposed to think? The note, the condom, it all points to the same awful conclusion. But then again, what if she's telling the truth? What if she really doesn't know how that condom got there? What if someone else put it there? Someone trying to mess with us? But who would do that? And why? My mind goes in circles, offering no answers, only more questions. I feel like I'm losing my grip on reality, like nothing makes sense anymore. I stop at a park, sitting in the car with the engine off, just trying to breathe. But the silence is unbearable. My thoughts too loud, too chaotic. I grab my phone and start scrolling through Emily's social media. She hasn't posted anything about last night, just pictures from earlier in the week. Dinners with friends, a new outfit she bought, a selfie she took in the bathroom mirror. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that screams, I'm cheating on my husband. I check her messages, but there's nothing suspicious, nothing that stands out. But then again, if she's cheating, she wouldn't leave a trail that obvious, would she? Maybe she has a separate account, something hidden. The thought sends a fresh wave of anxiety crashing over me. I'm not a jealous man by nature, but this situation is pushing me to the edge. I feel like I'm drowning in doubt, unable to tell what's real and what's not. I close my eyes, trying to calm myself, but all I see is that damn note, those cold words taunting me, daring me to figure out the truth. I can't just sit here, doing nothing. I need answers. I need to know what's going on, no matter how much it hurts. I take a deep breath and make a decision. I'm going to find out the truth, even if it destroys me. I drive back home, my mind set on uncovering whatever Emily's hiding. When I walk in, she's sitting on the couch, her face blotchy from crying. She looks up at me, her eyes filled with fear and uncertainty. I need to see your phone, I say, my voice flat, devoid of emotion. She hesitates, her fingers tightening around the device in her lap. Why? She asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Because I need to know, I reply, stepping closer. I need to know if there's something you're not telling me. She looks at me for a long moment, and I can see the conflict in her eyes. Then with a shaky hand, she hands me the phone. I take it, my heart pounding as I unlock it and start going through her messages, her photos, her emails. I search for anything that might explain the note, the condom, anything that might confirm or deny my worst fears. But there's nothing. Nothing that suggests she's been unfaithful, nothing that points to any wrongdoing. It's all just normal, mundane. But that doesn't make sense. If she's innocent, then where did that condom come from? Who wrote that note? I look at her, my frustration mounting. There's nothing here, I say, my voice edged with disbelief. But that doesn't mean you're not hiding something. Is there another account? Another phone? She shakes her head, tears welling up in her eyes again. No, I swear. There's nothing else. I'm not hiding anything from you. Then how do you explain the note? I demand, my voice rising. How do you explain the condom? I don't know, she cries, her voice breaking. I don't know, okay? I've been thinking about it all morning, and I can't figure it out. Her despair feels real, but my doubts won't let me fully believe her. I sit down beside her, my head in my hands. Emily, I don't know what to believe anymore. I feel like I'm going crazy. She reaches out to touch my arm, but I'm sitting in the living room, the silence between Emily and me thick and suffocating. It's been days since I found that damn condom, and I'm no closer to understanding what's happening. Emily insists she's innocent, but how can I believe her? The evidence is right there, staring me in the face, taunting me every time I close my eyes. I've always prided myself on being a rational man, someone who approaches problems with a clear head. But this situation is different. It's like a virus, infecting every part of my life, eating away at my sanity. I can't stop thinking about it, replaying our arguments in my head, searching for some clue, some sign that will help me make sense of it all. But there's nothing, just her tears and my growing suspicion. I've reached the point where I can't just take her word for it. I need to know the truth, and if that means digging into every part of her life, then so be it. I've already started with her phone, her social media, her emails, but everything's clean, too clean. It's like she's gone out of her way to hide any trace of whatever she's been up to. Or maybe she really is innocent, and I'm just losing my mind. I decide to take the next step. I hire a private investigator, a guy I know through a friend who specializes in cases like this. Discreet, thorough, and above all, ruthless. He promises to find out if there's anything to find, no matter how well she's hidden it. It feels like a betrayal, going behind her back like this. But what choice do I have? I can't live with this doubt gnawing at me. The investigator's name is Mike, and he's good. Too good, maybe. He keeps me updated on his progress, sending me reports that make my stomach churn. He's following her, tracking her movements, watching her interactions. It makes me sick to think of someone spying on my wife. But I tell myself it's necessary. I need to know the truth, even if it destroys me. The first few days, there's nothing unusual. She goes to work, meets up with friends, runs errands, normal stuff. But then Mike catches something. Late at night, after I've already gone to bed, she meets up with a man at a bar across town. They talk for hours, their heads close together, her laughter floating through the air like a knife to my chest. Mike sends me photos, grainy and dark, but clear enough to make my blood boil. I confront her the next morning, the photos spread out on the kitchen table like damning evidence in a trial. She walks in, her face still flushed from sleep, and freezes when she sees them. "What the hell is this, Emily?" I demand, my voice cold, calculated. "Who is this man, and why are you sneaking around with him?" She looks at the photos, her face draining of color. But then, to my shock, she laughs, this bitter, hollow sound that makes my skin crawl. "You hired a private investigator?" she says, her voice dripping with disbelief. "You really think I'm that stupid, don't you?" "Don't turn this around on me," I snap. "Just tell me the truth. Who is he?" "He's a friend, for God's sake," she shouts, her voice breaking. A friend who's been helping me deal with the mess you've turned our marriage into. I was talking to him because I didn't know how to talk to you anymore. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. So you go to another man instead of your husband? How am I supposed to believe that? She throws her hands up in frustration. I don't know. I don't know how to convince you that I haven't done anything wrong. You've been acting like a damn detective, searching for evidence that isn't there. You've already decided I'm guilty, and nothing I say will change your mind. I stare at her, my anger warring with the sickening possibility that she might be telling the truth. But before I can respond, my phone buzzes on the table. It's a text message, and when I see the number, my blood runs cold. It's an unknown number, but the message is clear. Stop digging, or you'll regret it. I look at Emily, who's watching me with a mixture of fear and defiance. I can't tell if she's scared because she's guilty or because she's genuinely afraid of what's happening. But this message, it changes everything. It's not just about her anymore. Someone else is involved, someone who knows what I've been up to and doesn't like it. I don't show her the message. Instead, I pocket my phone and leave the room, my mind racing. Who could be sending these threats? Is it the man she's been meeting, trying to scare me off? Or is there someone else, someone pulling the strings behind the scenes? My paranoia deepens, wrapping around me like a suffocating blanket. I don't know who to trust anymore, not even my own wife. I start avoiding Emily, burying myself in work and spending more time away from home. I can't stand to be around her. Can't stand the way she looks at me with those big pleading eyes, like she's the victim in all this. But the truth is, I don't know who the victim is anymore. Maybe we both are. The threatening messages keep coming, each one more ominous than the last. They're always from an unknown number, always short and to the point. You're playing with fire. Back off, or else. You have no idea what you're getting into. I can't trace the number. Can't figure out who's sending them. It's like I'm being stalked by a ghost, a phantom that knows my every move. My mind spirals further into darkness. I start seeing shadows where there are none, hearing whispers in the silence. I'm losing sleep, losing weight, losing control. Emily tries to reach out to me, but I shut her down every time. I can't let her in, not when I don't even know if she's part of this twisted game. One night, I come home to find my car vandalized. The windows are smashed, the tires slashed, and a note is taped to the windshield. This is your last warning. I stand there staring at the wreckage, my heart pounding in my chest. I know I should call the police, but what can I tell them? That I'm being harassed by an unknown entity because I think my wife might be cheating on me? It sounds ridiculous, even to my own ears. I go inside trying to keep my panic in check, but the house feels different, like someone's been here, watching, waiting. I can't shake the feeling of being hunted, of being caught in a web I can't escape. I check the doors, the windows, but everything's locked. Still, the unease gnaws at me, making it impossible to relax. That night I lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. Emily is beside me, her breathing soft and steady, but I can't find any comfort in it. The messages, the threats, the vandalism, it all points to something bigger, something I can't see. And the worst part is, I don't know who to turn to. I'm completely alone in this. The next morning, I wake up to find another note. This time, it's inside the house on my nightstand. My blood runs cold as I read it. You didn't listen. Now you'll pay the price. I jump out of bed, frantically searching the house, but there's no sign of anyone. Emily wakes up, alarmed by my behavior, but I can't explain it to her. How can I tell her that we're both in danger when I don't even know who the enemy is? As the days go by, the pressure mounts. I can't focus at work, can't eat, can't sleep. My mind is a constant swirl of fear and suspicion. Emily tries to reach out to me, but I push her away, too consumed by my own paranoia to let her in. I start missing meetings, making mistakes, and people at work are starting to notice. But I can't think about that now. All I can think about is the next message, the next threat, and what it means for me and for Emily. And then it happens. I come home one evening to find the door ajar, the house eerily silent. My heart pounds in my chest as I step inside, my hand trembling as I reach for the light switch. But when I flick it on, nothing happens. The power's out. I call out for Emily, but there's no answer. The panic starts to set in, my mind racing with all the worst-case scenarios. I move through the house, my senses on high alert, every shadow, every creak sending my heart into overdrive. And then I see it, the figure standing in the living room, a mask covering their face. They don't move, don't speak, just stand there, watching me with an intensity that sends chills down my spine. I don't know who they are, but I know one thing for sure. They're the one who's been sending the messages, the one who's been terrorizing me, and now they're here to collect on their threats. I try to speak, but my throat is dry, the words sticking in my mouth. The figure takes a step closer, and I instinctively take I've had enough. I can't go on like this. Living in fear, unsure of who to trust. I decide to set a trap for whoever's been tormenting me. It's risky, but I'm desperate. The messages, the vandalism, the constant sense of being watched, it's driving me to the edge. I've thought it through, and now I just need to execute the plan. I choose the abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, a place I know no one will be at this hour. It's a classic spot for shady dealings, and it'll give me the advantage of surprise. I bring the basics, my phone, which I've rigged to record everything, a small, concealed weapon just in case things go south, and a flashlight. My heart is pounding as I drive there, the darkness of the night pressing in on me. When I arrive, I park the car a few blocks away and walk the rest of the distance. The air is thick with tension, every sound amplified in the silence. I approach the warehouse, my breath shallow, every nerve in my body screaming at me to turn back. But I push forward. Inside, the place is just as I remember it, cold, empty, and filled with echoes of a past life. I take up a position in the shadows, waiting for the figure who's been haunting my life to show themselves. I don't have to wait long. The sound of footsteps reaches me before I see anything. They're slow, deliberate, and they echo through the empty space, sending a shiver down my spine. I grip my flashlight tighter, my other hand hovering over the weapon in my jacket. The figure steps into the dim light, their face obscured by a dark mask. For a moment, we just stand there, facing each other across the empty warehouse. I can feel the tension thickening, the air between us charged with unspoken threats. I don't move, don't speak, waiting for them to make the first move. Then the figure laughs, a low, chilling sound that sends my pulse skyrocketing. "You thought you could outsmart me?" they taunt, their voice distorted by the mask. "You really have no idea what you've gotten yourself into." I force myself to stay calm, to keep my voice steady. "Who are you? What do you want?" "Isn't it obvious?" they reply, taking a step closer. "I want you to suffer. I want you to feel every ounce of pain you've caused. This is just the beginning." I swallow hard, trying to keep my fear at bay. "What the hell are you talking about? I haven't done anything." The figure stops, tilting their head as if considering my words. "Oh, but you have. You just don't realize it yet." They pull something from their pocket, a small, familiar object that glints in the dim light. It's a photograph, one I instantly recognize. It's a picture of Emily, taken without her knowledge. She's smiling, but there's something off about it, something that makes my blood run cold. The figure tosses the photo at my feet, and I stare at it, feeling the ground shift beneath me. "Emily," I whisper, the name like a curse on my lips. The figure laughs again, a cruel, mocking sound. "You really thought she was innocent, didn't you? You're so predictable, so easy to manipulate." My mind races, trying to piece together what they're saying, but nothing makes sense. "What do you want from me?" I demand, my voice shaking with frustration and fear. "What I want," they say slowly, savoring the words, "is for you to know the truth. The truth about your precious Emily and what she's been hiding from you." My heart skips a beat, the words hitting me like a physical blow. I've been so wrapped up in my own paranoia, in my obsession with finding out if she's cheating, that I never stop to consider what else might be going on. "Enough games," I snap, taking a step forward. "If you know something, then tell me." The figure just shakes their head, their laughter cutting through me like a knife. "You're not ready for the truth, but don't worry. You'll find out soon enough." They turn to leave, but I can't let them go. Not now, not when I'm so close to finally getting some answers. I lunge forward, grabbing their arm, but they're faster. With a swift movement, they pull out a knife, the blade catching the light as they slash at me. I stumble back, narrowly avoiding the strike, my heart racing. "Stay back," they warn, their voice colder than before. "You don't want to do this." But I can't stop now. I'm too far gone, too desperate for the truth. I reach into my jacket, pulling out my own weapon, the cold metal reassuring in my grip. "Tell me what I want to know, or I swear to God I'll—" "You'll what?" they interrupt, their voice dripping with disdain. "Shoot me? Kill me? You're not that kind of man. You're weak, just like Emily." The mention of her name ignites something in me, a rage I didn't know I was capable of. "Don't you dare talk about her," I growl, taking a step closer, the weapon shaking in my hand. But the figure just laughs again, the sound echoing in the empty space. "You really think you're in control here? That's cute, but this isn't about you or your pathetic attempt at being a hero. This is about something much bigger." I open my mouth to respond, but before I can say anything, they lunge at me, the knife aimed straight for my chest. I react on instinct, raising my weapon and firing a shot. The sound echoes through the warehouse, loud and deafening, and the figure crumples to the ground, the knife slipping from their hand. I stand there frozen, the weapon still raised, my heart pounding in my chest. I can't believe what I've just done. I've never shot anyone before, never even imagined I'd be capable of it. But here I am, standing over the body of the person who's been tormenting me, my hands shaking uncontrollably. But it's not over yet. I force myself to move, to kneel beside the body and pull off the mask. I need to see their face, need to know who they are, even if it destroys me. When I finally pull the mask away, my breath catches in my throat. It's not a stranger. It's someone I know all too well. One of Emily's closest friends, someone who's been in our lives for years. The shock of recognition is like a punch to the gut, and for a moment I can't breathe. "Why?" I whisper, my voice hoarse, my mind struggling to comprehend what I'm seeing. "Why would you do this?" Their eyes flutter open, filled with pain and something else. Something like satisfaction. They cough, blood staining their lips, and I lean closer, desperate for answers. You really don't get it, do you?" They rasp, their voice weak. "This was never about you. It was about her, about making her see what she did to me." "What are you talking about?" I demand, my voice shaking with frustration and fear. "What did she do to you?" She, she chose you," they whisper, their voice fading. "She was supposed to be mine, but she threw it all away for you. And now she'll see what it's like to lose everything." Their eyes close, their body going limp in my arms. I stare down at them, my mind reeling, trying to make sense of what they've said. Emily chose me, but that doesn't make any sense. She never mentioned anything about this, never hinted that there was anything more to her friendship with them. But then again, how well do I really know her? I sit there, the body growing cold in my arms, the weight of what I've done crushing down on me. I've killed someone, taken a life, and for what? For answers that only lead to more questions, for a truth that's more twisted than I ever could have imagined. I have no idea how long I sit there, the reality of what's happened slowly sinking in. Eventually, I force myself to stand, to let go of the body and step back. My hands are stained with blood, my mind a mess of confusion and regret. I know I need to call the police, need to report what's happened, but I can't bring myself to move. I look down at the body one last time, the words they said echoing in my mind. This was never about me. It was about Emily, about making her suffer. But why? What happened between them that led to this? And how do I tell her what I've done? I finally managed to pull out my phone, my hands shaking as I dial Emily's number. She answers on the first ring, her voice filled with concern. "Where are you? I've been trying to reach you." "Emily," I say, my voice trembling, "I need you to come to the warehouse. There's something you need to see." "What?" Why? What's going on? She asked, panic creeping into her voice. Just, please, I beg, my voice cracking. I can't explain it over the phone. You need to come here, now. There's a long pause and I can almost hear her thoughts racing on the other end of the line. Emily arrives at the warehouse not long after I call her. The ride here must have been hellish for her, knowing something's wrong but not knowing what. She steps out of her car, looking fragile in the moonlight, her eyes wide with fear and confusion. I don't know how to begin explaining the nightmare I've dragged her into. The blood on my hands, both literal and figurative. She hesitates when she sees me standing in the shadows by the entrance, my face drawn and haunted. What's going on? She asks, her voice trembling. Why did you bring me here? Emily, there's something you need to see, I say, my voice rough. I don't want to do this, but I have no choice. She needs to understand the truth, whatever that truth may be. But before I show you, I need you to know that I didn't want it to end like this. I just wanted answers. I wanted to understand what was happening to us. Her face pales even more, and she steps closer, reaching out to me. What are you talking about? What did you do? I can't bring myself to meet her eyes. I turn and lead her inside the warehouse, my heart pounding with each step. The air is thick with the musty smell of decay, and the shadows stretch long and ominous in the dim light. I lead her to where the body lies, covered with an old tarp I found nearby. I pull it back, revealing the face of her friend, the one who tormented us, manipulated us. Emily gasps, her hand flying to her mouth as she staggers back. Oh my God! Oh my God, no! Emily, I say softly, my voice strained. I didn't have a choice. They attacked me. They were the one behind all of this. All the messages, the threats, the lies. They were trying to destroy us. She drops to her knees beside the body, her tears falling fast and hot. How could this happen? She whispers, more to herself than to me. They were my friend. They were supposed to be my friend. I know, I say, kneeling beside her, my hand hovering over her back, unsure if she wants comfort from me right now. But they were in love with you, Emily. They hated me for taking you away from them. They wanted to ruin our marriage, to make you suffer. Emily looks up at me, her eyes red and swollen with tears. I never knew. I never suspected. I know, I say again, my voice heavy with regret. Neither did I. We sit there for a long moment, the weight of everything that's happened pressing down on us. I feel like I'm suffocating under the guilt, the horror of what I've done. But I had to do it. I had to protect us. Or at least, that's what I keep telling myself. Eventually, Emily pulls herself together enough to stand. She looks at me and I can see the conflict in her eyes. The love she still feels for me, warring with the fear and uncertainty of what our future holds. What do we do now? She asks, her voice small and broken. We have to call the police, I say. The reality of our situation crashing down on me. There's no hiding this. I'll have to explain what happened, why I did what I did. It's going to be a long, painful process, but it's the only way forward. Emily nods, her eyes dull and lifeless. She knows I'm right, but that doesn't make it any easier. I don't know if I can do this, she whispers, her voice cracking. I don't know if I can live with this. I take her hand, squeezing it gently. We'll get through it together, I promise, though I'm not sure if I believe it myself. We'll face this, and we'll find a way to move on. She doesn't say anything, just squeezes my hand back, holding on to me like I'm the only thing keeping her from drowning. The next few hours are a blur. We call the police, and they arrive with a flurry of activity, lights, sirens, questions. I tell them everything, leaving nothing out. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, but I know it's the only way to start making things right. They take my statement, collect evidence, and eventually take me into custody. I expected as much. Emily is left standing alone outside the warehouse, her face pale and drawn as they load me into the back of a police car. The look in her eyes is one I'll never forget, an expression of loss, of betrayal, of fear. I want to reach out to her, to tell her that everything will be okay, but I can't. I'm shackled by my own actions, trapped in a web of consequences I wove myself. The days that follow are some of the darkest of my life. The trial is grueling. Every detail of that night picked apart by the prosecution, every mistake I made laid bare for the world to see. I'm painted as a jealous, paranoid husband who took matters into his own hands, and in many ways, they're right. I did let my suspicions drive me to the edge, and I did pull the trigger. But it wasn't out of hate or even out of fear. It was out of a desperate need to protect the life I had with Emily, the life I was so afraid of losing. Emily visits me a few times during the trial, but it's clear that she's struggling to come to terms with everything. We talk, but our conversations are stilted, awkward. There's a distance between us that wasn't there before, a chasm created by the events that led to this point. I can see the pain in her eyes, the questions she's too afraid to ask, and it breaks my heart. Eventually, the trial comes to an end. I'm found guilty of manslaughter, a lesser charge than what I feared, but still enough to alter the course of my life forever. I'm sentenced to several years in prison, and as the verdict is read, I feel a strange sense of relief. At least now, there's a path forward. It's not the path I wanted, but it's one I have to walk nonetheless. As I'm led away in handcuffs, I catch one last glimpse of Emily. She's sitting in the back of the courtroom, her hands clenched in her lap, her eyes downcast. She looks up as I pass, and for a brief moment, our eyes meet. There's so much I want to say to her, so much I wish I could undo, but I know it's too late for that. We don't speak as I'm taken away, but I hope she knows that I still love her, that I'll always love her, no matter what happens. The first few months in prison are hell. I'm constantly on edge, surrounded by men who've done far worse things than I have. I keep my head down, trying to avoid trouble, but it's impossible to escape the violence, the anger, the crushing despair. I think about Emily every day, wondering how she's coping, if she's moved on, if she still thinks about me. The counseling sessions we started before the trial are a distant memory, but I cling to the hope that maybe one day we can pick up the pieces and rebuild our lives. It's a slim hope, but it's all I have. One day I get a letter from Emily. It's short, just a few lines, but it's the first communication I've had from her since I was sentenced. She writes that she's been going to counseling on her own, that she's trying to work through everything that's happened. She doesn't say if she forgives me or if she ever will, but she does say that she's not giving up on us. Reading those words, I feel a flicker of hope, something I haven't felt in a long time. It's a small thing, but it's enough to keep me going. Maybe when I get out, we can start over. Maybe we can find a way to heal, to move past the darkness and build something new together. It's a long road ahead, but for the first time, I feel like I can see a glimmer of light at the end. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that I want to face it with Emily by my side, if she'll have me. As I sit in my cell staring at the letter, I make a vow to myself. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right, to prove to Emily that I'm still the man she fell in love with. It won't be easy, and it may take years, but I'm determined to try, because in the end, she's all that matters. It's been 6 months since the trial ended, and I'm back home, trying to piece my life together. The house feels different, quieter, almost like a stranger's place. Emily and I are still here, but we're just going through the motions. The counseling sessions have helped, but there's still a wall between us, built from the bricks of everything we've been through. I spend most of my time in the study, working remotely, avoiding the outside world. The memories of what happened still haunt me. The blood, the trial, the looks on people's faces when they found out what I'd done. I've become a recluse, too afraid to face the whispers, the judgment. Emily tries to coax me out, but I'm not ready. Maybe I never will be. One evening, Emily comes into the study, her face drawn and tired. She's been out more lately, trying to reclaim some semblance of a normal life. I've encouraged it, but I can't help the pang of jealousy that twists in my gut every time she leaves without me. "We need to talk," she says, her voice soft but firm. I look up from the computer, dreading the conversation that's about to happen. "What is it?" She takes a deep breath, sitting down across from me. "I've been thinking a lot about us, about everything that's happened. I know we've been trying to move forward, but I feel like we're stuck, like we're just pretending everything's okay when it's not. I nod, my stomach churning. I know. I feel it too. I think maybe we need to take a break, she says, her voice breaking slightly. Not from each other, but from this place, from the memories. Maybe if we get away for a while, we can find a way to really start over. The thought of leaving terrifies me, but I know she's right. The house is a constant reminder of what we've been through, and it's suffocating us. Where would we go? I was thinking we could rent a cabin up north, just for a few weeks, she suggests. No distractions, no reminders of what happened, just us trying to figure out if we can still make this work. I stare at her, my heart pounding. A part of me wants to say no, to keep hiding here in the safety of our home, but I know that's not an option anymore. If I don't do this, I'll lose her. And after everything, she's the only thing I have left. Okay, I say finally, my voice shaky. Let's do it. We leave a few days later, packing up the car and heading north. The drive is long and silent, both of us lost in our own thoughts. The tension between us is palpable, but there's also a sense of hope, like maybe this is the first step towards something better. The cabin is small but cozy, nestled deep in the woods. It's isolated, the nearest town miles away, which is exactly what we need. We unpack in silence, the weight of everything unsaid hanging heavy in the air. That first night we sit by the fire, the crackling logs the only sound between us. I keep glancing at Emily, trying to read her expression, but she's a closed book, her thoughts locked away where I can't reach them. I don't know how to do this, I admit, finally breaking the silence. I don't know how to move past everything. She looks at me, her eyes filled with a sadness that cuts deep. Neither do I, she says softly. But I want to try. I want us to try. I reach for her hand, holding it gently. It's the first real connection we've had in months, and it feels fragile, like it could break at any moment. I'm sorry for everything I put you through, I say, my voice thick with emotion, for not trusting you, for letting my fears take over. I know I've hurt you, and I wish I could take it all back. She squeezes my hand, her grip firm. I know you didn't mean for any of this to happen, she says, but it did, and now we have to find a way to live with it. We sit there for a long time, just holding hands, letting the fire warm the room. It's a small step, but it feels like progress, like maybe there's still a chance for us. Over the next few days, we start to fall into a routine. We hike through the woods, cook meals together, and talk more than we have in months. The distance between us begins to close, slowly but surely, and I start to feel a glimmer of hope that maybe we can rebuild what was broken. One evening, after a long day of hiking, we're sitting on the porch, watching the sun set over the trees. The air is cool, the sky painted in shades of pink and orange. Emily leans against me, her head resting on my shoulder, and for the first time in a long time, I feel at peace. I miss this, she says quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. Just being with you, without all the fear and anger. I missed it too, I reply, my heart swelling with emotion. I turn to her, gently cupping her face in my hands. I love you, Emily. I never stopped. She looks up at me, her eyes filled with tears, and I can see the love she still has for me, despite everything. I love you too, she says, her voice trembling, and I want to move forward. I want us to be okay again. We kiss, and it feels like the first time all over again, filled with the same passion and longing we had when we first fell in love. It's a slow, tender kiss, a promise of better days ahead. When we finally pull away, we're both breathless, our hearts pounding in unison. That night, we make love for the first time since everything fell apart. It's not just about physical desire. It's about reconnecting, finding each other again after all the pain and heartbreak. It's slow and gentle, every touch, every kiss, a reminder of the bond we share. It feels like we're healing, piece by piece, rebuilding what was broken. In the aftermath, as we lie tangled together in the sheets, I feel a sense of contentment I haven't felt in a long time. I know we're not completely fixed, that we still have a long way to go, but I finally believe we can make it. Together. The next few weeks fly by in a blur of quiet moments and deep conversations. We talk about everything. The trial, the betrayal, the future. It's painful at times, but it's also necessary. We can't move forward without confronting the past, without understanding how we got here. As the days go by, I start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. The counseling sessions we've scheduled once we get back will be crucial, but for the first time, I feel like we're ready to face them. We're ready to face the world again, together. When it's finally time to leave the cabin, I feel a pang of sadness. This place has become a sanctuary for us, a place where we could heal without the outside world intruding. But I know we can't stay here forever. We have to go back, face reality, and continue the work we've started. On the drive back, I reach for Emily's hand, and she takes it without hesitation. We don't say much, but we don't need to. The silence between us is no longer heavy with unresolved tension. It's comfortable, filled with understanding. When we arrive home, the house still holds the memories of everything that happened, but it doesn't feel as suffocating as it once did. We unpack, settling back into our lives, but it's different this time. There's a sense of renewal, of possibility. We start our counseling sessions the following week, and though they are difficult, we face them with a newfound determination. We're not just going through the motions anymore. We're actively working to rebuild our marriage, brick by brick. It's hard, and there are days when it feels like we're back at square one, but we keep pushing forward because we both want this. Months pass, and slowly, the wounds begin to heal. The memories of that night still linger, but they no longer have the power to tear us apart. We've learned to trust each other again, to communicate openly and honestly, and it's made all the difference. One evening, as we sit on the couch, Emily turns to me with a smile. We've come a long way, haven't we? I nod, smiling back at her. We have, and we've still got a long way to go, but I'm not afraid anymore. I know we can get through anything, as long as we're together. She leans in, kissing me softly. I believe that too. I'm ready to face whatever comes next, as long as I have you by my side. We sit there, holding each other, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like we're truly home. It's not perfect, and it never will be, but it's ours, and that's enough. As I hold Emily close, I know that the future is uncertain, that there will be more challenges ahead, but I also know that we're stronger now, that we've survived the worst and come out the other side. And whatever happens next, we'll face it together, hand in hand, ready to write the next chapter of our months have passed since we returned from the cabin, and life is beginning to take on a new shape. Emily and I have been working through our issues, brick by brick, rebuilding the trust that was shattered. It's been a long road, but every step forward feels like a victory. The counseling sessions are still ongoing, and while they're grueling, they're also helping us to understand each other in ways we never did before. We talk about the past, the mistakes we made, and the wounds we inflicted on each other. It's painful, but it's also necessary. We're learning to forgive, not just each other, but ourselves. Emily is sitting across from me in the counselor's office, her hands folded in her lap. She looks tired but resolute. We've just finished another intense session, delving into the lingering effects of the betrayal we both endured. I'm still angry, she admits, her voice soft but steady. Not just at you, but at myself, for letting things get so bad, for not seeing what was happening. I know, I say, my voice tight with emotion. I'm angry too, at myself mostly, for not trusting you, for letting my fears drive us apart. But I'm also grateful for the chance to make things right. She looks up at me, her eyes filled with something I haven't seen in a long time. Hope. I want to move forward, she says, reaching out to take my hand. I want us to be stronger than we were before. We will be, I promise, squeezing her hand. We already are. The days that follow are filled with small victories. We laugh more, talk more openly, and even start making plans for the future. Something that seemed impossible not long ago. We're not just surviving anymore. We're living. One evening we decide to go out to dinner, something we haven't done in what feels like forever. It's a small Italian place we used to go to when we first started dating, and the familiarity of it brings a warmth I haven't felt in a long time. As we sit across from each other, sharing a bottle of wine, I can't help but think about how far we've come. The shadows of the past still linger, but they no longer define us. We've learned to live with them, to accept that they're part of our story, but not the whole story. Emily reaches across the table, her fingers brushing mine. "I've been thinking," she says, a small smile playing on her lips. "Maybe it's time we start talking about the future." My heart skips a beat, the words like music to my ears. "What do you have in mind?" She looks down at her wine glass, swirling the liquid thoughtfully before meeting my eyes again. "I want to start fresh. Maybe move somewhere new, a place that doesn't have all these memories. Somewhere we can build something that's just ours." The idea catches me off guard, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. A fresh start, away from the ghosts of our past. "I like that idea," I say, my voice full of warmth. "Wherever you want to go, I'm with you." Her smile widens, and for the first time in a long time, I see the light in her eyes that used to draw me to her. It's a glimmer of the life we're trying to rebuild. The rest of the evening passes in a comfortable blur of conversation and laughter, and for the first time in months, I feel a weight lift off my shoulders. It's as if we've turned a corner, leaving the darkness behind us. Later that night, as we lie in bed, Emily rests her head on my chest, her fingers tracing idle patterns on my skin. "Do you think we'll ever really be okay again?" she asks, her voice a whisper in the quiet room. I wrap my arms around her, holding her close. "I think we already are," I say, kissing the top of her head. "We're different, but maybe that's a good thing. We've been through hell, but we came out the other side. That has to count for something." She nods, her breath warm against my skin. "I believe that too," she murmurs. "I just don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose us again." "You won't," I say firmly, my voice filled with a quiet determination. "We won't let that happen. We've come too far to go back now." As I lie there holding her, I think about everything we've been through. The pain, the fear, the betrayal. It's all part of our story, but it doesn't define us. We're more than the mistakes we made, more than the hurt we caused each other. We're stronger now, more resilient. The next morning, we start looking at houses online, exploring different neighborhoods, different possibilities. It's exciting, the idea of starting over somewhere new, of creating a life that's entirely ours. We make a list of places to visit, places where we can see ourselves building a future. As we plan, I can feel the hope growing, the sense that we're finally moving in the right direction. It's not going to be easy, and there will be challenges ahead, but I know we can face them together. One evening, as we're sitting on the couch, Emily turns to me with a serious expression. "There's something I need to tell you," she says, her voice soft but steady. My heart skips a beat, a flash of fear running through me. "What is it?" She takes a deep breath, looking me in the eyes. "I'm pregnant," she says, her voice trembling slightly. "I found out a few days ago." For a moment, I'm stunned, unable to process the words. But then the meaning sinks in, and a wave of emotion crashes over me. "Are you serious?" I ask, my voice choked with disbelief. She nods, tears welling up in her eyes. "I know it's a lot to take in, but I'm happy about it. I'm really happy." I pull her into my arms, holding her tightly, my heart pounding with joy. "I'm happy too," I whisper, my voice thick with emotion. "So happy." As we hold each other, I realize that this is the start of our new life. A life we've fought for, a life we've earned. The road ahead won't be easy, but I know we can face it together. We've been through the fire and come out the other side, stronger than before. And now, as we prepare to welcome a new life into the world, I know that we're ready for whatever comes next. We're not just surviving anymore. We're thriving, and I can't wait to see where this journey takes us.